Hello, everyone, and once again, a very warm welcome to ChaiNet, the agentic commerce podcast exploring how brands are building in an AI world. Quick question before we start, for especially for the parents or uncles and aunts of young children. Do you remember the last time you actually bought shoes for your child? Did anyone really measure the foot properly? Did anyone explain what to look for, what not to look for? Or did you just grab something that looked nice and looked like it might fit and hope for the best? I have got this wrong six times till now in the last 14, 15 months since we've had a newborn. Um, she's tried a lot of pairs. Some have been tight, some have been loose. Uh, big brands, small ones. But I still don't think that we've found the perfect fit. I myself am a very finicky shoe person. So I'm guessing my child is as well. But even if they're not right, a lot of, I would say most parents are getting this wrong because the industry itself is getting it wrong, right? The damage shoes do to a child's developing foot is real. Uh, you do not find it out till later. We've been asked, we have doctors in our family who've said that just make her walk barefoot because somehow no shoe fits her. My guest today is actually the person who has figured this out. She left a 15-year corporate career. She retrained as a qualified shoe fitter, and then she built a business to fix this. So let's welcome Sam Chetwood.
Hi there.
Hi, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. First of
Excellent.
all, thank you so much for giving us your time and for coming on this live stream and discussing this very important topic. Um, Sam, if you could quickly start with an introduction, that would be lovely for our viewers.
Yes, so as you say, I'm Sam and I set up CeCe&Me 11 years ago now, basically based on my frustrations of taking my young children shoe shopping.
Right.
And yeah, got to such a stage that I decided that I needed to do something about it.
Right, right. No,
I'd had a good career in the city, a job that I really enjoyed, and I went back to after having my first child. But so much changes and shifts when you become a mother. And
of course.
the job that I had really enjoyed beforehand just didn't fit so well with the way that I wanted to be as a parent. So, I just constantly felt pulled into directions that I wasn't quite doing the job to the best of my ability like I used to be able to, and I wasn't being as present for my child. So when it came to having child number two, I really struggled with the decision, but I decided not to return to that corporate career. But then I was in a position of knowing that actually I still wanted to work. It was like, my identity had become much more about being a mum and a parent, but previously my identity was very much linked to the job that I was doing, and I kind of wanted something to fill that. I didn't want to just be identified as one thing. But yeah, I couldn't quite figure out what that new bit of the puzzle was, and it was that actually be that motherhood inspired that next step in that I encountered this problem like so many parents do, and thinking, I want to fix this. And it was that decision, okay, how do I go about fixing this problem? So yeah, it was a gradual realization that actually there was something I could do about it. And yeah, it was months and months of research and then training before I got it up and running. But yeah, I discovered that it was a problem that a lot of parents were encountering, and I felt that I could do something to address it.
Right. Very interesting. And was it like, was it like a slow build? Like, as you said, that, it wasn't a single moment that you decided, okay, this is the time I'm gonna, quit and then start. How was that progression? Like, what happened first? And, so I do understand that, you had that urge to do something about it. And you also had this, I would say, like an identity shift, which you were you were identifying more, um, you know, as a mother rather than a corporate, person. So how was that journey for your business? Like, what happened first? What
So what
what went next?
once I'd resigned from my job, I was kind of looking
Hmm.
around and kind of assuming that I would maybe freelance in some way that was related to what I'd done before. But I think I that didn't really spark anything in me. I couldn't
Hmm.
find the motivation to put myself out there and find that
Hmm.
kind of work. And I think that's because I knew that it needed to be something completely different. It needed to be something that I felt real purpose for.
Right.
And it was this experience of taking my children to the shop. First of all, my eldest, obviously,
Hmm.
but subsequent visits, and just never feeling that I'd gone to a shoe shop wanting to find an expert because I wanted to do the best for my child. I wanted to know that I was buying shoes that were going to
Right.
support the healthy development of her feet. Instinctively, I knew that that was important. I think probably because my mum had always made it a priority. And I think, nearly 50 years ago when was getting my first shoes, I think it was a much
Right.
simpler process. Everyone went to the shoe shop. They had
Hmm.
properly trained tutors. There was a smaller range to choose from.
Right.
And but that was made a real priority. So I think that had stayed with me, and I wanted that for my children. But it wasn't that
Hmm.
same process. You go to the shoe shop, that in itself is a mission. You have to get the kids in the car, and then you get them out at the other end. Maybe got a baby
And they're
and a
fighting.
toddler.
They're fighting
uh,
to not sit in the car seat, and
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's so
You're
stressful.
exhausted by the time you get there, and then you have to wait. The shop's busy. The kids don't want to be there. They just want to play. You're waiting your turn. You eventually get, in front of the shoe fitter. Child doesn't want to cooperate with having their feet measured. You're stressed
Right.
out. There's more people waiting. The whole thing just felt uncomfortable. But then,
Hmm.
if I had then met someone who took the time, and I felt was really giving me the right advice, and I'd walked out feeling confident I'd got the right shoes, then it would have
Hmm.
been worthwhile. But I didn't find that. Basically, what I found in the shoe shop was a sales assistant who was no better
Hmm.
qualified than me to tell me whether those were the right shoes. All they wanted to do was make a sale. So,
Right.
and you just buy what they tell you to buy because you just want to get the heck out of there.
Right.
And or people resort to buying online, as you say, your experience, you see a brand, lots of people are saying this is the right brand, you order online, but then how do you know that fits well?
Correct.
None of us are trained. We don't know anything about feet, really. We don't know how they develop. We don't know how they function. We're told by the shoe companies this is what you should be wearing. I'm not sure that's entirely true. And feet cut, every pair of shoes is unique. And you know finding the right pair of shoes to fit each pair of feet is not a straightforward process. You need someone to guide you through that, and it's just that
Absolutely.
that is missing, and we're losing so many
Hmm.
skilled shoe fitters because people
Hmm.
don't recognize that it's important.
Hmm.
So yeah, as you can tell, it's something I'm quite passionate about.
No, no. I think that's how you've been able to do it for 11 years, and get it to get it to the scale where you are. And, that's it's you're very right. Honestly, before talking to you, before we spoke, a few weeks back, I did not even know that that there's that shoe fitter can be a professional thing. I've always met salespeople in shoe stores, right? You don't get anyone who's trained for this.
I mean, that they do exist. They do exist, but they are few and far between these days. As I say, it's not a skill that is given
Hmm.
enough value,
Importance,
and,
value,
and so
right,
we're losing it. And it
right.
really is a tragedy. So I'd say to anyone, if you have got a good shoe shop in your
Hmm.
local community, use
Right.
it, because if you
Hmm.
lose it, you are losing such a valuable resource.
Hmm. Right, right, right. If you're going online and just buying something which is well marketed, uh, yeah, then
Yeah,
then then that affects the local shoe shop for sure, and that's
absolutely.
hmm. And then eventually, I think that's gonna do more harm than good. Um, and
Yeah.
before you actually trained to be a professional shoe fitter, did you even know that that kids' feet can be so complex? Like it can be something.
Absolutely not. No, as I say, I was a complete layman. All I had was this belief, or this instinct that I should do this properly.
Right.
But once you start to understand, I mean, our feet are, I mean, they're absolutely complex. They're one of the most intricate parts of our whole body. I think it was
Mm,
Leonardo da Vinci described them as a work of art and a masterpiece of engineering. I mean, they
mm,
are. And once you start to understand how they work, they are absolutely incredible. But if without
mm,
that understanding, you can't make good
mm,
decisions about what you put on them. But yeah, they
right.
are very complex, but yeah, just incredible that the way that they're
Mm,
designed to function.
true. True. True.
Yeah, I mean, they are absolutely perfectly designed for the job that they need to do for us, and it's actually
Mm,
the shoes that we put on them that stop them. We outsource so much of what our feet are supposed to do for us to shoes that then stops them working properly and makes them weaker. So
mm, yeah. And yeah, I think that the you don't realize the impact, right? Because of course they can't say much. Maximum they can cry, and they can just say that it's uncomfortable, and
yeah,
you don't really understand. Um, So, with me, what happened was finally, while we were selecting shoes for our little one, we were finally told that, just buy some shoes which she can grow into, right? Because we could not find the perfect fit.
yeah,
How wrong is that?
yeah. I mean, buying shoes bigger than your child needs is as damaging as them wearing shoes that are too small.
Mm,
What you need is a pair of shoes that fits well and that moves naturally with your child's foot and supports that natural movement. So if a shoe is too big, the foot's reaction will be to grip with the toes. Also, obviously, it could rub in the places where it's not fitting properly. But that gripping with the toes is really um, damaging, because not only
mm,
straining the muscles, so the foot isn't in a natural position, that it's constantly held in a sort of tense position, trying to hold this shoe in place. And then obviously also the bones are being held in an unnatural position. So if that's happening over a period of time, then that's the way the bones are going to develop. And you
mm,
see a lot of that sort of claw tone. Um, that is
mm,
because you've been either gripping or being squashed too small.
yeah.
So
Mm,
yeah, it is fascinating. Funnily enough, when I was much younger, child myself, I developed quite a phobia against feet. I really didn't like feet. I would avoid any places where, like swimming pools and stuff, where people would have bare feet. I don't know whether this is why I've developed this need to like keep feet, beautiful and healthy. But
right.
I've obviously grown out of that now. But I think, you do look at some adult feet, and I can look at them and think, well, I can see exactly why you've got, what damage has been done over time to your feet, whether it's bunions, whether it's claw toes, whether there's sort of calluses, and you know, that's all due to footwear the majority of the time. So yeah, we should treat our feet much better.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I think it's there's a lot of awareness when it comes to clothes, right? You're wearing organic cotton. You're trying to understand uh, where your where is the actual source of the clothes? Like, where's it coming from? How did it get made? Is it sustainable? What colors? But but yeah, like with shoes, it's usually you'll it's usually like either you go like you'll think that if you're going for a brand, then they'll take care of everything else, right? You don't have to worry about it if you're going for a Nike or an On, and then that's it, right? But yeah, everything is it's more important. It's much deeper than that, right? So let's talk about the business for a bit now. Franchising is difficult, right? It's if it's so if it's a QSR, or if it's something which can be which is not human. It's still, of course, QSRs are also human, but you have like very strict SOPs, and with like restaurants and food chains, a lot of things get manufactured behind, and then they just like the franchisee operator just has to, um, just have to be nice and be polite and do the sales. With this, it is something very different, right? Like, how do you teach someone else to do something that that you've learned? It's taking you years to actually perfect, and then make sure that that they have the same impact as you do.
So I think there's probably two parts to that. The first is that I developed a very comprehensive training program. So
Mm-hmm.
so I did my training through an organisation, as I say, sort of 12, 13 years ago now. And obviously that formed the basis of everything I've done since. I could not have gone into doing this without that knowledge. I needed to develop that knowledge and skills so that I could
Right.
be the expert to help people. But that was just the starting point. I have built on that. I have become obsessed with feet, so I've spent years trying to learn more. And that's an ongoing process. So
Right.
all that knowledge from 10 years has gone into developing this training program, and it's probably far more foot health focused than the training that I originally did, because I think that really is key, particularly when we're dealing with the young children like we do. So we're preschool specialists, so sort of 1 to 5 is our primary market.
Right.
Because I think I know that's the stage at which parents are really looking for advice, and it's also the stage at which, as I say, a lot of the damage can be done if you get it wrong. So
Right.
we're very much about helping parents understand how the foot's developing and why shoes, and really helping them feel confident about the shoes that they buy, because, as I say, that's what was missing from my experience. So that training program is very detailed, and obviously there's a lot of knowledge involved in that, but then there's a lot of hands-on as well, and sort of so that I feel confident and the franchisee feels confident that they can then be the expert and support families in their community. But then the other part of is the recruitment and recruiting the right people. So it doesn't, people don't need a business background or shoe fitting expertise. Or what they need is a passion and a strong work ethic, and really
Right.
wanting to do something purposeful, and helping families in their community, and really understanding that this is about supporting families and healthy child development. That is the key thing that I recruit on. Everything else we can, as you say, we can teach, but it's having the person that wants to really make a difference is so
That's
important.
the most important thing. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Making sure that you recruit or partner with the right people is half of the battle, right? Like, that's
Absolutely.
very. And you've specifically, you've gone into franchising, and you've specifically made sure that it's an offline first model, right? You don't
Yes.
have a website. You don't plan to do like D2C, or or at least you do not have done that till now. Is that like a strategy, or like what's the thought
Absolutely.
behind?
Yeah. We won't sell online. I 100% believe that children's shoes should be fitted, and that needs to happen. So there are so many factors that we take into consideration when we are fitting a pair of shoes. It
Right.
is not just about using a measuring gauge and then just pulling a pair of shoes off it. The measuring gauge is the starting point, and it is one of the many factors that we take into consideration when we're saying these are the shoes that are going to be appropriate for your child. So no, it is, our model will always be face to face, customer facing. We do have a website, but it is an information hub, and it's a
Correct.
place people can go to find their local fitter and book an appointment. But everything to do with the fitting is hands-on, and that is very much our ethos. I mean, I've had so many people over the years say, oh, well, why don't you consider going online? But that's not
Right.
our USP. It is all about the service. It's interesting actually, because where, people get confused. People like to put you into a box, don't they? So it's like, we don't have a bricks and mortar shop. So then the obvious conclusion is that we sell online. Well, we don't do that either. And it's like, well,
Right.
where does that fit? Because what we're doing is something new and it doesn't fit neatly into either of those categories.
Right.
So it's like, you're trying to carve your own path. And that's, it's not always easy because, as I say, people like to put you in a certain box. So,
Right.
but I really do believe that this is a good model for the future, but also for families. It's designed very much around the family, to take the stress out of that experience, and to, as I say, just take the time to give advice and help people understand why they're buying a certain pair of shoes. So
Right. And like the world is itself changing, right? Like be it online, be it offline, like AI is impacting every business everywhere.
Yeah.
Very different for online businesses, but you being an offline first business, where do you think AI has impacted you in the last 1 to 2 years of your business?
I mean, I think the opportunities offered by AI are huge, and I think it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. If you try and disregard that, then you are missing a huge opportunity and you will be left behind. I think,
Right.
barely scratching the surface in terms of what AI could do for a business. It's so far looked at kind of how it can help support systems and processes to make kind of the back end much slicker, and sort of provide us with more data in order to make business decisions, which will help support us. And in terms of, there are so many things that you're juggling on a day-to-day basis when you're running a small business, whether you're on your own, you've got a small team. And actually, I found that AI can just help me order my thoughts. I can just sit there and put all this information in, kind of going through my head. And then it just, formats it in a way that just makes so much sense. So I have more structure and more clarity. So in that way, it can be a huge support. I mean, I think we're all figuring it out, aren't we? And I think, there can be an over-reliance on AI. You've got to realize that it's a tool to use and not something to, just hand everything over to. It's
Of
a way
course,
to
yes.
pull information together and then pull out the bits that are going to work for you. But I think it presents so many opportunities to improve productivity and streamline things. And we all need to be looking at ways we can integrate it into what we do.
Right. We have flat footedness in our family. Like thankfully I'm not, but yeah, like it's been so shoes have always been a problem. Like I've been very finicky about my shoes, and me and my wife have this. Like this is for our shoes, of course, not for the for our child's shoes. That's for that. Of course, we try to be find the most comfortable one. But for my shoes, I would not mind a very ugly shoe and wear it for like 2 years, even if it's comfortable, and it takes me hours to find a good shoe for myself. I'll be roaming around from shop to shop, and and they'll be like really nice looking shoes, maybe like also having like good discounts, and all. My wife will be like, okay, get this is so smart, you're looking really nice. I'm like, no, there's something off, I don't know, there's something uncomfortable about this shoe. But yeah, like I think you're very right that footwear has been so fashion led that we've forgotten that it needs to be comfortable, and for children that's even more serious, right? For adults, once you're after 30-35 years, I think the impact a good shoe can make to your health is not that much, because already there are so many bad things happening to your health also.
True, yeah. I mean, as I say, the majority of the damage will be done when the foot is still developing. But I mean, you can still impact it at any stage.
Right.
But I think you've got to bear in mind, our feet are our foundation. If there's something wrong with your feet, it affects everything that sits above you. So your muscles, your joints, your posture can all be impacted by an issue with your feet. And issues with your feet can very often be caused by footwear. So it's not, and it's not something we are generally aware of. If we suddenly have, a back problem, a hip problem, a knee problem, then you think that is where the issue lies. But the issue could well be with your feet. So I think, as I say, we need to treat them better.
Correct. Absolutely.
And as you say, because things are comfortable, I mean, it's fine, if you want, to wear, a high heel for a party, or, a dress shoe for, an occasion, that is fine. But for the shoes you're wearing day to day, then,
Right.
they should be comfortable and they should be supporting natural movement.
Absolutely. Very, very true. Very true. So, matter of 10 years in, was there something when you started, you thought that, okay, this is how it's supposed to be? And now when you look back, you got that completely wrong?
Sounded quite big-headed, but I don't think I got anything completely wrong.
Hmm.
But a lot has changed over that time. So when I
Right.
started, my initial concept was kind of shoe fitting parties, harking back to the days of Tupperware parties, and that's been
Right.
replicated, in different formats over the years. So I thought,
Right.
I'd use my network of families and take the shoe fitting service into their homes. They'd invite their friends round,
Hmm.
and I could do fittings there. But the problem with that was I was putting a lot of onus on people to organise, to invite their friends, to host them, to have play dates.
Right.
So you're always waiting for someone else to offer to do that. And I realised that was really holding me back. So I kind of started to think, well, how do I get this in front of more people on a more frequent basis? And
Right.
so I started looking at where are people going with their children so that I can take the service to them. So play groups,
True.
soft play, family friendly cafes. So I started this sort of pop-up format,
Right.
which we still do today. And it's very much that, taking the service into the community, into the places that people go with their children. So they're not having to cart them off to the shoe shop, and they're in a much more relaxed environment that's familiar to them. And then started offering home visits, which is even more bespoke. So it's all about sort of listening to the customer, adapting and evolving. And, we will continue to do that. No business should stand still, and, listening to the customer
Of course.
is, if you don't do that, then you are very quickly going to lose business. So
Right.
yeah, I think that sort of willingness to adapt and evolve. And I guess the thing that perhaps in hindsight I didn't do, I just very much wanted to solve the problem in my local area that I had encountered.
Hmm.
And, I only ever saw this as a business that would be for me, a kind of lifestyle business. And I didn't see the bigger picture. And I didn't think about the potential it had to have a much bigger
Hmm.
impact. But after sort of, probably it was very early, a couple of years of running the business, people started to get in touch with me and say, oh, this is a really good idea. I mean, it's just what we need in our area. And so I
Right.
was giving people advice, telling them what I'd done, and, how to get up and running. But nobody
Right.
took that forward. And I was thinking, what is stopping them? And I think it is that nervousness about taking that step and setting up your own business.
Right. The first step is the
Yeah,
hardest.
it's a big decision. I am fortunate, I have got a business background. So perhaps I, was in a slightly better position to take that first step. My children, as my children got a bit older, and I got more passionate about what I was doing and wanted to, I could see what the impact in my local area. I wanted to expand that so that more
Right.
people could more families could benefit. And franchising to me seemed the most natural next step. And I think, as I say, in hindsight, if I'd thought about that earlier, I could have set the business up or I could have started documenting things much earlier to
Much
make that
earlier.
process of franchising much easier when I did it. But it was actually a great exercise to download, up until that point, everything had just happened in my head, and I had to get that all down on paper and justify why I did things and actually adjust certain things and
Right.
put more systems in place to support a bigger organization, a bigger network.
Correct.
So yeah, To be honest, the business has developed organically over time. As kind of, I've had more time to put in as my children have grown, and I've felt, motivation to build it beyond just being me. That is really what drives me, is the want to make a bigger difference, to reach more families, and also to help other mums create a business that really works for them, that is based on purpose and makes it a difference in their community. Because it honestly, going back to what I said at the beginning on the identity, this really helped me rebuild my identity and my confidence, and so much after I decided to leave that corporate career, in ways that I couldn't have anticipated at the beginning. It has honestly given me so much, and to help other mums achieve that in their life is, again, an incredible feeling.
Yeah, I think that's solid. Like starting up, of course, is hard for people. There are a lot of there are a lot of people who want to do something, but yeah, as you said, that the first step is very, very hard. You're giving that framework to other moms, that okay, this is exactly what you need to do. This is exactly what you need to train for, and then you start your own thing within within CeCe, within the brand, and of course it gets the power of the brand as well, right? And
Yeah,
as you said,
I mean,
adapt.
they get all the infrastructure, everything is there, that sort of
Right.
business setup is all there. What they need to do is learn the skills, the knowledge, and then just get out into the community and speak to people and build their customer base. That face-to-face customer interaction, that is their primary focus. They don't need to worry about all the back end, that's in place for them. I mean, they still get quite a lot of autonomy to shape their business in their local area, but obviously within the framework that we provide. And actually, one of the great things about that I hadn't really anticipated about the franchise is the community and support of working with other people after sort of working on my own for so long.
Right.
It's really brilliant to have those people who all have similar values and similar motivations to come together and to see them supporting each other. It's brilliant.
It's a different feeling, when you're working alone. No matter whatever success you're able to get, it's always okay, like that's great. I did well for myself. But yeah, when you're working with others and when you're making them also successful along with you, and then when you build that community around you, that feeling is very, very different. And it's a very so some of the last question for this podcast. As you said, last 10 years a lot has changed. You've evolved. You Where you started with the Tupperware shoe parties to to this, it's superb, so where do you think now in the next 5 years? Where do you think you're headed, and where do you think the business going? Not a website. I don't think it's going to go online.
No, definitely we won't go online, apart from providing information for parents to help them understand foot development. But it is growing the network. I think there are in fact increasingly so many shoe shops have shut, and there are so many areas around the country, communities where families don't have access to good shoe fitting.
Right.
And so, finding the people, the mums in those areas that say want to run a flexible, meaningful business, and helping them get set up so that we can increase our impact. As I say, that is really what drives me is sort of getting the information out there about foot health, helping people recognize how important it is, and then providing the service that so that we can help improve those outcomes for children and children's foot development. So yeah, it's yes, definitely the next 5 years is about growing and increasing our impact.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's a solid plan, and I of course would be following your journey through your website, through LinkedIn. But yeah, love what you built, Sam. I think this is amazing and very inspirational, and the fact that you started yourself, and now you're moving you're enabling others to make something of their own themselves as well is superb. And I loved this conversation. A real problem, a real person who got obsessed enough to fix this, and then building a business that actually works and that is now expanding. For our viewers, if you have a kid under 5, go to CeCe&Me.co.uk, book a fitting. I think it's going to be worth it. That's a wrap for today's episode. Please share this with one parent who needs to hear it. See you at the next one. And if you liked this episode, please subscribe or follow me on LinkedIn, and follow Sam on her LinkedIn, her Instagram. They're everywhere. Thank you so much, Sam, for doing
Thank you.
this.